lined up right over there for a new segment called Get to Know, and Arizona's own pro stock racer Matt Hartford is going to be our guest. So maybe you want to just stick with us right through that. How many of you folks are at your first NHRA National event? Very first, raise your hand. All right, you'll get the most out of this. Long-time grizzled veterans like you, sir, just kidding, you're going to get something out of it as well. Me too. Me too. Our driver is Brooklyn. Everybody say, good morning, Brooklyn. Good morning, Brooklyn. Cool. We're going to stay behind Brooklyn and head up into Nitro Alley, and we're going to go talk to some drivers, crew chiefs, or who knows who we might see. Now, before we get started, you're at the Mellow Yellow Powerhouse. This is a great spot for a meeting place, or if you get separated, like where should we go? Go to the Powerhouse. There's all kinds of great stuff. You see the new Powerade Funny Car Simulator in there. You get to see what one of the funny car racers sees. You can sample an ice cold Mellow Yellow. The whole reason we are here, Coca-Cola and Mellow Yellow with their brand, of course. You can use the tree and test your reaction times. I did it last race, and I was incredible. I just want to put that out there. First time I had done it in over a year, and it was great. Had excellent reaction times. Am I lying? Maybe? You don't know. And then finally get your photograph taken with the NHRA Wally, which is cool because they print one for you and they also email it to you, and it is free. Like, what's better than that? You and the NHRA Wally. So spend some time here at the Powerhouse over the course of the weekend. And oh, by the way, samples of ice cold Mellow Yellow. You just pop in, you get some little blast, and then head off. All right, is everybody ready to roll? Let's roll. NHRA 101 walking tour. Now, Facebook Live this long ones. The Nitro Funny Cars, like this one right to the left with the carbon fiber body that comes down over the top of the 500 cubic inch nitromethane burning supercharged 11,000 horsepower engine. They make 11,000 horsepower and can accelerate from 0 to 100 in less than 1 second. Those two, Nitro, Top Fuel, and Funny Car, are in the Mellow Yellow series, but also Pro Stock, the factory hot rods, 500 cubic inch. That's what Matt Hartford drives, so we're going to meet him later. We'll see Pro Stock later. And of course, Pro Stock Motorcycle, which are not here. They begin their season in Gainesville, Florida, a couple of weeks from now. This is Nitro Alley, and you are seeing all our Nitro cars all pitted together. Paul Lee over on that side, Funny Car. See Ron Capps, new look, Pennzoil and Napa, Funny Car Dodge Charger, 2016 champ, crew chief Ron Tobler out there surveying. All of these cars are part of the same team and organization, Don Schumacher Racing out of Brownsburg, Indiana. Don raced funny cars years ago, 1960s and 70s, loved the sport, but went off and built a huge business. And then came back into the sport and now has one of the premier organizations. Ron Capps, Tommy Johnson Jr., the infinite hero of Fast Jack Beckman, who won the first race of the season. And that is a good point. It's a 24 race schedule. Okay, we have 24 races. You are at race number 2. So we are starting a new season. Jack Beckman won Funny Car in the first race of the season 2 weeks ago in Pomona, California. Antron Brown, also Don Schumacher Racing, a 3-time Top Fuel World Champion, one of our most personable, personality, character drivers who is excellent. Antron, an athlete, sprinter, went to the Olympic trials and ends up driving Top Fuel dragsters, has also run a Pro Stock motorcycle. Now, if we don't necessarily speak about the cars on the left, don't worry, we'll get them on the way back because there's a lot of cool machines over there, like John Force Racing. But all of this, we're still seeing Don Schumacher Racing. And you notice, we're in this open pit area that is drag racing. And it started like 1950s, 1960s. Like, it wasn't really for entertainment. Everybody was going to race each other and their friends would come out into the pits. It's great. Well, we have kept that till right now, that atmosphere, the open pit atmosphere. You see Matt Hagan. Matt Hagan has done real well at this race a couple of years. 2 years ago won the race. Year before that won the race. Leah, all of these cars. And by the way, this is the NHRA 101 walking tour. You're welcome to join. Just let me a 5 and you can join the tour. One of these days I'm going to get in trouble with that joke, but as long as somebody keeps laughing, I'm going to keep saying it. Obviously Leah Pruitt, the Mopar machine. Leah also the star driver of Don Schumacher Racing. So let's just pause and look back and think about all that equipment and all of those cars coming out of one shop in Brownsburg, Indiana, NHRA conglomerate, if you will. Now these other teams got to race against them, and it's a great challenge. Think of all the data and information and machining and marketing and experts that all come out of that one building. Don Schumacher Racing is one of the super teams. There are 3 super teams over here. John Force Racing, we'll tell you about them in a little bit, and then of course there's Coletta Motorsports. But if one of you happens to be a very successful person and decide like, man, I would like to really try to compete against Don Schumacher Racing, I think I can hire some guys and bring on a sponsor and buy or build a car that could compete against them. The thing about drag racing is, bring it on, try it. So many other motorsports, you really can't do that. You have to get a charter, you have to buy your way in, that kind of stuff. No, in drag racing, you build the car, you prove you can drive it, you can show up to the race. And that, I think, is unique to us. Let's keep on going. Oh, look, it's Terry McMillan. And,
Terry!
Woo! There it is. Don't run him over, Brooklyn. We need this guy. We need this guy. Jim Head Incorporated. Been racing a long time. Got a new driver this year. Blake Alexander. Blake, young guy. Jim Head, middle-aged guy. But they're both very successful in what they do. They've decided to combine forces this year. It's going to be very interesting to watch that operation go, because Blake is an excellent driver and Jim is a genius engineer tuner type, and so seeing them together, it's going to be fun. I just spoke with Blake and he says we're like the odd couple, but we get along. And it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. Now down there, and there are various ways down there, and certainly we'll end off there. Those are the pro stock pits. We're going to try to finish up there, but we want to make sure we make it to the stage at 11:45-ish. To meet Matt Hartford. Ish, yeah, like the only time that has to be absolute exact are the ones on the racetrack. At least that's the way I do it. Look, it's Courtney Enders, everybody. Courtney Enders, there it is. More Nitro cars here. Tim Wilkerson won this race in 2016. See his car chief, Richard Hartman, having a conversation with Aaron Brooks. Let's go talk to Hartman. Brooks, you can run away. But no, I'm kidding. Come here. Stick around. Hold on. Come out here. Come out here. Look at this. Get out here. I'm just showing all these people my power to get people to move around. Making the decisions or working on the car that has 11,000 horsepower and somebody that you know and care about gets in the car, but then you got to compete against other people who are trying to do the same thing. That's a lot to consider. Let's put it that way. Tell me what it's like when you're working on one of these cars. First, Richard.
Well, luckily I don't have to do that much anymore. Tim handles it all. So
you're still car chief, man. You're hands-on these machines.
We just put the car together and make sure it's right for Tim and get the car ready to roll.
All right, and Aaron, you got a young driver, Justin Ashley. Same situation. He told me you tuned for his dad. He was a 10-year-old kid running around watching you work. Now you get to tune the car for him in an operation. Like the kid is 24 years old. He buys a top fuel car. Why didn't you tell him that's bad advice?
Well, sometimes you can't talk people out of their dreams. So no, it's been like, same thing like Richard said. I mean, our job is just to make sure it's perfect. So eliminate any chance of substitution.
How do you sleep at night with all of the data? I mean, I'm sure everybody's getting ready for tax time, right? You're thinking about, oh, do I have everything? How do you shut down?
It's hard sometimes. I mean, I wake up a lot at 2 or 3 in the morning with thoughts of clutches and blowers and stuff. But I don't know, we hit pretty hard on the track, so we get worn out.
There you go. Aaron Brooks, Richard Hartman, a couple of great minds behind the scenes, so to speak, in the Nitro ranks. 11,000 horsepower. How do they do it? Tomorrow, you are going to see on Nitro School, which is another great program we have. NHRA 101 Walking Tour. Coming up behind you, you're welcome to join. One of the big stars in NHRA drag racing a few years back, Alexis DeJoria, had some great success, came up through the Lucas Oil Series ranks, had great success, and then stepped away. Well, here in 2020, she's back, and this Rocket, Mobile, and ABK beer funny car is Alexis DeJoria. And you're like, oh my gosh, didn't she have the Patron car? She did for a while, but now this is the new look. First race out last week, 2 weeks ago, made the semifinals. Has assembled her own team, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they all do. Del Worsham and Nikki Bonafonte are her crew chiefs, and it's basically a group of guys that came from Coletta, where she used to be, and it's going to be very fun to watch Alexis go through the program. Obviously, she's a rock star. We're happy to have her back, and people who are looking for someone to root for, Alexis DeJoria is a great person. And speaking of Coletta Motorsports, it's no accident that they are kind of pitted nearby. The second of the super teams, the DHL Toyota Camry. See crew chief Todd Smith in there, John O is in there, the whole team. They have won 2 championships in the last 5 years. Very strong Coletta Motorsports funny car team. Coletta Motorsports has 1 funny car this year, 2 top fuel dragsters, Doug Coletta's Mac Tools machine, and the DHL Coletta air machine of Sean Langdon. Those of you who follow the sport, you know Sean was in a funny car. Now he is in the Top Fuel dragster, the 2 dragsters. And Coletta Motorsports with Doug Coletta won the Winter Nationals a week ago. They also won the Auto Club Finals, and they are looking really good. Doug, one of the premier drivers in the category. Langdon, a 2-time Super Comp World Champ, a 1-time Top Fuel World Champ, now gets to jump back into Top Fuel and mix it up. One of the great pure drivers. And that's another great thing. Like, we got a collection of people. Doug Foley back for the first race in, I believe it's 10 years. Doug Foley out to run Top Fuel, and has done well over the years, and now getting back into it. You get bitten by the bug that is NHRA drag racing, and in particular 11,000 horsepower under your right foot. At some point you're going to come back. Now, it does take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. And the good news is that they have put together enough to come out for a few races and try to take on the super teams. Now, what we're going to do, Brooklyn, is you make a U-turn at the Lucas Oil Hospitality, and we'll head back. We got to get back right around 11:45. And we'll just kind of stop and look out. Just so you all know, we have an open pit policy, which means you can just kind of walking out there. We have our Lucas Oil Series competitors out there, and all kinds of amazing and beautiful cars. That's why I say, you're going to come to an NHRA National event, walk the Yellow Series, the Lucas Oil Series, continue forward a little bit, Brooklyn, and stop right there. You're going to meet a lot of great people. Your friends, your neighbors, business owners that compete in the NHRA. Any one of you, if you follow the right steps, can compete in the NHRA and end up at this level. That's what's amazing about it. Now, you see Scott Palmer and all of these machines. They're amazing, but right here I want to point out to your left, Capco, Steve Torrance, the 2-time back-to-back Top Fuel World Champion. Has finished second, first in the last 3 years of competition. This is his first race of the season. They got a brand new look. This is a very impressive team in that they have dominated the class known as Top Fuel in the last 3 years. Won 2 championships. Steve's dad, Billy, is over there. These other cars, Scott Palmer and Jeff Neal, are satellite teams that get like data and engineering help from Capco. Capco is that's why we're going to run 23 races. Now, the first 18 races are regular season. Then we have a playoff system known as the Countdown, the final 6 races, ending off in Pomona, California. Keep track of the points. Watch on Fox Sports 1. Listen to, go to NHRA.com and their Facebook page and keep up with everything. Oh, it's Brad Gerber, everybody. Oh my goodness, with executives and VIPs coming through the NHRA experience. Look at that. Bottom line, Top Fuel drag racing, the pinnacle of drag racing. Steve Torrance is the pinnacle of Top Fuel right now. Brooklyn, roll out, roll out. Oh, it's Chad Head, everybody. What's interesting is, we talked about Don Schumacher Racing and Coletta Motorsports and John Force Racing, super teams. Well, this is a family-owned organization. They started out running Super Comp, those cars that we saw in the staging lanes by the Mellow Yellow Powerhouse. That's where they started. And they just love drag racing so much. And their business was doing well. And they kept going quicker and faster, and they kept winning races. And now they have the 2 premier Top Fuel cars. I do want to tell you, though, Steve Torrance and his dad, Billy. I asked him earlier, plan to win the championship, and Billy, his dad, pointed at himself and said, I'm the guy. So watch that story. He is gunning for his own kid and going to try to take that championship string away from himself. Now, Wild Horse Pass, you look out to the right, formerly Firebird. Most of you folks have been here a long time. I'm from Florida. But to me, when I put on drag boat racing, it would always be from here. And that's where that all happened, if you're wondering exactly what is going on. Now we can pick up the pace a little bit, not too fast. Hey Brooklyn, can you text Alex that we're going to be 5 minutes late? We may or may not, but let's just text him that we're going to be 5 minutes late. Tell him to text Hartford. I can walk and I can talk, but I can't walk, talk, and text. You guys are more important. Now, the NHRA is a membership organization. We've been around since 1951. And the whole goal of the whole exercise was really to get people off the street. Think about the 1950s, right? Post-World War II, highways being built, car hops, music, rock and roll, fast cars. Everybody wanted to race their cars. You've all seen the movie American Graffiti, and if you haven't, you should watch it, because it kind of talks about the era that this sport evolved from. Well, Wally Parks, our founder, realized that, man, we can't be all over the streets and unsafe. We got to make this safe. We got to encourage it. We got to make it something that is legitimate and viable. And he did a great job, and it has grown to this. But every one of you is the feeling of power when you accelerate your car and go down the strip and know that you're safe. No one's going to pull out in front of you. There's a safety crew on the scene if a parts failure were to happen. That's what NHRA is all about. And it is a hobby, it is a lifestyle, it is a living for a lot of people. But at the top tier of that, it's a profession. And there are a lot of people that make their living drag racing down our 1,000-foot track in the nitro ranks, 1,320 feet, a quarter mile in every other category here in the NHRA. And one of the people who has done the best job of making a living in drag racing is a guy named John Force. John Force is our winningest in terms of race wins, 151, championships, 16, and has developed a team, John Force Racing, that you're about to see on the right-hand side. Robert Hight, 3-time Funny Car champ. Auto Club is his sponsor. The current and reigning Funny Car World Champion. Won the championship just a couple of months ago in November at Auto Club Raceway in Pomona, California. We start and end our season in Pomona, California, which is not that far away, and you guys can definitely come to the Auto Club Finals if you want. But he's got the #1 back, and if you look down into the pit, you see Robert and you see John Force, and they're kind of just hanging out. Talk about the open pit. And if you hang at those ropes, you can watch them work. Hey, Robert and John waving at us, and we're waving back. Everybody wave. Everybody on the count of 3, say, hi, Robert. 1, 2, 3. Hi, Robert! There it is. That's what you get when you're the champ, Robert. Everybody loves you. Everybody loves you. There you go. And by the way, you hang in the ropes, you're going to get an autograph. People love autographs. You're going to get one. You just got to be patient. There will come a time. You go to other forms of motorsports. Speaking of John, it's a good car as well. John Force Racing. 2 Chevrolet Camaro funny cars. And 2 Top Fuel dragsters. You already met one of his drivers, Austin Prock. His daughter, Brittany Force, is debuting a new sponsor scheme this weekend. Flavor Pack. She's got Monster Energy. Now, she's got Monster Energy and Flavor Pack on board and had a really strong run out there in Pomona. Had a great #1 qualifying effort. This is Brittany Force's Top Fuel dragster. Now look at that cockpit of that dragster for a second. And everybody look at the canopy over the top, a relatively new innovation in the last 10 years. But imagine yourself in there now. Imagine that top coming down over the top of you. Imagine you've got an 11,000 horsepower engine that's going to accelerate you 0 to 336 miles per hour in less than 4 seconds. And you're driving it. It's not a ride, you're controlling it. And there's somebody in the other lane, and they're trying to control theirs better than you and beat you to the finish line. That's what Top Fuel drag racing is. And that's why it's the kind of thing like you can watch on TV and we want you to. But until you come out and you look at that thing and you say, I don't know if I want to be in there. Well, maybe you do. And that's what it's all about, coming out to the NHRAs, looking at that and realizing, how does that happen? Nitro School tomorrow, they'll tell you exactly how. Brooklyn, let's keep on rolling. Oh, we're looking okay on time. The other side of John Force Racing, Austin Prock. We saw Austin already, made the final round, first race out. Ran Doug Coletta in the final round. Doug won the race, but Austin already starting off real well. You've heard the name Don the Snake Prudhomme, of course, one of our great legends, is involved with John Force Racing and Austin Prock in particular. Some other relationships I did not mention. Robert Hight, we were waving at him. His crew chief, Jimmy Prock, that's Austin's dad. We often say NHRA is the ultimate family sport. All you parents out there, if you want your kids to always think you're cool and never leave, which I know a lot of you want them to leave, but if you don't, drag racing is the sport. Cruz Pedregon, multi-time champion, Snap-on Tools, 100 years, cruiser, over there to the right. Assembled a new team, or a couple new crew chiefs, second half of last year on, expecting big things for Cruz Pedregon. Here we got Bob Tasca's Motorcraft Ford Mustang, Tasca, bringing Ford in. back into the sport. The Tasca family got a huge Ford dealership and flying the Ford colors. So if you're a Ford fan, you're probably going to want to root for Bob Tasca. It looks like you're getting ready to warm up the car. We're just going to have to go straight back to the stage and we'll meet a Pro Stock driver on the stage. And it looks like it's going to be perfect timing. Perfect timing. I was telling you about Justin Ashley a little bit earlier. Remember we met Aaron Brooks and he talked about lying awake at night thinking about clutches and stuff. Well, this is the car. Justin is back there by the left rear tire, just beyond. He's working on the car. Wave at Justin. Everyone say, hey, Justin! Hey, Justin's 24 years old, owns a top fuel car, and he is one of the best drivers in category in terms of reaction time already. So if you're looking for someone new, fresh, and exciting to root for, this is the guy. Justin Ashley. All right, let's keep on rolling. One thing I love about this sport, you do not have to be a certain age. We have the overlap and diversity in our, nothing matters other than can you compete and you'll compete. And we've got great young drivers like Paul Lee, middle-aged guy, real go-getter, super entrepreneur, businessman.
Trying to look him up on Instagram.
To do this, and now he is. Clay Milliken's Parts Plus top fuel drive, one of the quickest cars out here on a regular basis. Clay, a very popular driver, and of course, Big Jim Dunn and Jim Campbell. All right, now we're going to head back down. And we're going to get to know a Pro Stock racer. Well, that is Nitro Alley, the Nitro Mall. Shirts, hats, socks. If it rains, socks. They got socks. They got everything in there. And, you know, my wardrobe, not this shirt, but most everything else is at the Nitro Mall. And we are a 3-day event, so just so you know what's going down. Today, 2 sessions of qualifying. 2 sessions of qualifying today. Oh, look, it's Matt Hagan, everybody. What's up, man? All right, let's talk to Matt real quick. Real quick. Matt Hagan, you've won out here a bunch of times. It's a happy place for you.
I love this place. I love Phoenix. I love the Scottsdale area. I just love being here. But, you know, we won last year, I guess, defending champs here and won a couple of times here. But we're usually flying the same big colors, but we got Mopar, so I guess they decided they wanted a little love this weekend. But, you know, it's just cool to be here. I mean, the fans are amazing. The weather's great, and we're just ready to go lay some stuff down out there.
There you go, Matt Hagan, everybody. Matt Hagan. And don't you just love the fact that they're just walking around through the pits like that is what drag racing is about. They're not getting helicopters in behind the scenes. I'm sure they would love that. But we make them walk in. We make them walk in. Some nitro warm-ups going on Nitro Alley. Now listen, here's the thing about the Mellow Yellow series. You got the nitro cars, which I love. I love them. I'm passionate about them. They amaze me. But honestly, when I was staring at the cockpit of that top fuel dragster, the funny car, it's beyond my comprehension and relatability, right? It's like, I can't envision myself driving a car that goes 330 miles per hour. Pro Stock is the category that most of our Lucas Oil Series racers or sportsman racers, they aspire to because it is relatable. We're going that way, we're going right to that stage, as I have been informed. I drive race cars. They go 10 seconds. It's a pretty fast car for what it is. Nothing compared to this, but when I was a kid, I would aspire to run Pro Stock. 500 cubic inches, naturally aspirated, lead with a clutch, shift gears. What's up, Fox? Folks, Fox, everybody wave. Shifting gears and winning and losing races with their driver ability. That, to me, is impressive. And you're getting ready to meet a Pro Stock racer. And please, if you are interested, gather around our stage, and we are going to meet a hometown guy for you guys. Lives right here in Arizona, and I think has a special guest. So once again, we're going to gather around the stage momentarily, and we are going to meet a Pro Stock racer. Did anybody have any questions? That something that we saw on the first half of the Get to Know, or the NHRA 101, we got a lot of different names for stuff. Walking tour. Any questions, anything we did not cover? Like, why do they call them funny cars? That is always asked on a regular basis. They call them funny cars because they evolved from stock-looking cars. And as these engineers, look at this guy. You get Matt Hartford. They became funny-looking, and that's the name Funny Car. You brought a friend. Who is this guy?
This is Kato. This is our 2-year-old girl.
And And what is that? That's a Dalmatian.
It is a Dalmatian, yeah. It's actually a white lab. We took a Sharpie and did some spots on it.
That must have been a lot of work. You Pro Stock guys are pretty amazing. What is that? Pro Stock Pup.
Yeah. Pro Stock Pup. That's really what we did for the weekend. She came out here to support us. We're turn on some lights.
There you go. All right. Matt Hartford is joining us. Are we going up on this? Okay. We're eventually going to go up on the stage, but in the meantime, you and I are hanging out here, which is actually great for these guys. You made the final round of this race in Pro Stock last year, but before we talk about, you don't go 300 miles per hour, is Pro Stock a category that so many people, including yourself, want to be in?
It is absolutely positively the most technical car, not only to tune, maintain, and drive on the planet. So think about this, you got 500 cubic inches, you still got push rods, 2-valve engines, electronic fuel injected, you got to let the clutch out, go through 5 gears, and you go through 5 gears in under 4 seconds, 6.5 seconds, 215 miles an hour, get the chutes out, and then you come back and you work on it just like the fuel cars for the next 2 hours.
See, and last year, you went all the way to the final round, and it came up a little bit short, but still a great showing. You want to go 1 round further here this weekend. What's it going to take to do that?
Well, number one thing is the driver to get his head out of it, you know what.
How was it there?
Last year I screwed up. I let the pedal just come up a little bit as we were up on the 2-step, and we use a switch inside the car underneath the pedal. It's called a 2-step rev limiter. So we leave the line about 6,800 RPM.
Think about that, guys. They leave the starting line 6,800 RPM.
And then what happens is I let the pedal off about 10,000 7/8, so about the size of the human hair. My foot moved off the pedal that much, just let it up a little bit. It came off the 2-step, the engine went right to 10,500, and then with triple the force on the clutch, you can't hold the pedal down. The car just lurches forward, you go red, it shakes the tires, and your day's over. And you know, we had a car to win that race. We certainly felt that Janky had a little performance on us, but I've been driving real well. We thought we could win.
So, all right, the whole point of this exercise is to get to know a Pro Stock racer. So, everybody out here is racer. Everybody is driven and determined to go out, work really hard, cause themselves a bunch of heartache and problems. But everybody also is a child of someone who has kids maybe, who has a job, shows up to work. What do you do when you're not racing?
Well, I do a lot of things, but the number one priority in my life certainly is running a company called Total Seal Piston Rings. You know, we're the leaders in ring technology around the world. We manufacture rings from everything from a Formula 1 car all the way through your street cars that you see going up and down the street. Now, we're not an OEM producer, so you wouldn't see us in the car that you see on a dealership lot. But like these cars rolling by right now, they're probably going to have our rings in it. So that occupies my days from about 5 a.m. to about 5 p.m. every day, and then at night I go home, make a little dinner, and work on the race car.
There you go. You ready to go on the stage? Let's do it. Let's do it. We're going up here. There's supposed to be like a big cheer when we get up here. Yay! Like, okay, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. All right. Now, we did not bring the dog up, but let's.
She don't like the grade. I don't think she would like the grade that much.
I agree. All right. Next step. We just told everybody that you guys are the leader in ring technology, but you know, like, what's a piston ring, Matt?
All right. So a piston ring. Think of this. Inside your engine, you have a piston that goes up and down. You have to seal it to the cylinder somehow. So the ring goes around the piston, and that's what creates the seal that pulls all the air and the fuel into the engine, and then the piston's going back up. It compresses it. It keeps all the compression above the piston. Then once the spark plug goes off, it ignites it, blows it back down, then it pushes it out the exhaust. So think of it as simply a seal that goes around the piston.
There you go. Now you guys know, I'm sure, everybody. All right, so listen. The drama that happens at an NHRA race is not limited to the track. There's all kinds of interesting adrenaline shots that happen in the pits that will get the attention of even the best drivers. For instance, my spies tell me that you guys had a bit of a moment here this morning that gave you a shot of adrenaline that you were not expecting. Tell everybody what happened to you guys.
All right, so part of the NHRA rules is they have mandated things like you have to have a spec body on the car, and it has to be the SFI approved wheels. Well, it also has to have a full interior in the car, so it has to have a carbon fiber tunnel, carbon fiber dash. It has to look inside like
some resemblance of a vehicle. It just can't be open panels where you see all the wiring.
Thus the name Pro Stock. There's got to be some allusion to a stock car.
Well, so to work on the car, though, all the inside of the car comes down. It's all Zeus fastened in, so it's all carbon fiber, real lightweight.
Supercharged top dragsters going to the staging lanes. Continue.
So anyway, we got an in-car camera in our car this weekend. So we had to drill a 2 1/4 inch hole in the roof panel, and we got all new decals because we want to put really nice Total Seal decals on the dash so the viewers all over the world can see our logos. We took the dash out. My brother Adam he sanded it and painted it so it looked a little bit nicer, and it was just laying right in the front of our pit areas. And he turns around and he says, "Hey, did you take the dash?" I said, "No, I haven't touched it." And he goes, "Well, I just seen the garbage woman walking off, and our dash is gone." So for the next half hour, all my crew went dumpster diving, rummaging through every trash bag, every dumpster, and he did find it in a trash bag in a dumpster somewhere way over there. So we did find our dash, and we're able to put it back in the car. The key is, though, had we not found it, we couldn't race. You have to have that dash in the car to race, and we don't have a spare.
Thus, the shot of adrenaline, the last thing you were thinking about. Now, you live in Arizona. Total Seal is here. Runner-up last year. Top 5 in the world in points. So, having a good race here this weekend, I know it's at the top of your list. What have you done to make it happen?
Well, last night after, we came here yesterday, we worked all day, and we went home last night. We threw some steaks on the grill. We had some wine. I think that got us mentally prepared this year.
Prepared to have your dash stolen in the first hour of the next day. You did not think that was going to happen.
Listen, when your dash is stolen and you're drilling the 2 1/4 inch hole in the roof of your car, that's not a typical Monday morning.
There it is. Now set your DVRs for Sunday to watch that in-car camera shot on Total Seal. Now let's go back into driving one of these Pro Stock cars. Like, where did you get the experience to be able to do this? He let me start his car last year, and it's not like starting your rental car, folks. Like, the car is doing all kinds of things that throw you off, pretty much. So how did you get the experience to do this?
I've just been around cars my entire life. You go way back, you listen to these stalkers running by. Back in the, late 80s, early 90s, after I got out of the military, I was always, building cars or at the track working on somebody's car. And I got into the Sport Compact series in 2000, and I never drove one of the front-wheel drive Sport Compacts. They were always a rear-wheel drive.
I'm glad that you point that out. There's like an ego thing with that. I agree. Front wheel, like, weird.
There was 2 different categories. You had the front-wheel drive and a rear-wheel drive. I was always a rear-wheel drive, so we always had Pro Stock chassis, but with turbocharged 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders in it. And way back then, a turbocharged 6-cylinder, I was running faster in that car than I am in my today's Pro Stock car. But all the way through probably about 2000 to 2006, I raced that series. And then 2006, Steve Schmidt, a lot of guys here have probably heard of Steve Schmidt, engine builder back in Indianapolis. He wanted to buy the car I was building from Don Ness, and I said, yeah, let's work something out. But instead of you giving me cash, I want to race 6 Pro Stock races. So in 06, I jumped 06 and 07. I raced in his car for a few, and then David Nickens called me, wanted to do some stuff in a Dodge, and I raced a lot of comp. And 2013, Chris Ingleson and myself, he's from CIP1, we decided to partner up, buy a car together, put our own engine program together, and go racing. And now, 7 years later, we got KB Power under the hood, and we got as good a chance to win this championship as anybody.
How about that? A team like we were just talking about a little bit earlier. Passion for cars, smart, wants to cause themselves all kinds of stress and problems as their hobby, and coming out here. Now, I noticed everybody nod their head when you said that you were in the service. Talk a little bit about what you did. You were, hey, look at this. We got cheers. No, we're good now, Alex. We're good now. Thank you, though. Thank you, though. But I'm sorry. I would have called you off a while ago. But what did you do in the service, right? Like, we like to honor our veterans here at the NHRA. You are a veteran, but you kind of had a unique job profile. What was it?
Yeah, my job basically, the entire time I was in nuclear engineering. I was a mechanical engineer on 3 different fast attack subs. And everybody always asked me, how long were you out to sea? And I was fortunate or unfortunate. I never had to spend a lot of time at sea because I went through 2 complete reactor overhauls, reactor changes, where we physically take a reactor out and put a reactor in. And then the one boat I was on had hit a underground mountain, so we spent a lot of time fixing that as well.
Wow. So engineer nuclear reactor. So where do you put the dilithium crystals? That's what everybody. Look, you got your own microphone. Say something to this.
Put them in the microphone.
There it is. Where do you put the dilithium crystals in a nuclear reactor?
Check.
That's the question. Try again now. Test.
Oh no, that's top secret. We can show you the valve spring on a Pro Stock car, but we can't talk about that.
Okay, dilithium crystals is something I took from Star Trek. They don't really exist.
No, they really do not exist.
Okay. But working on a nuclear reactor for a submarine, to me that sounds more complicated than a Pro Stock car. Are there any common threads? Like, are there nuts and bolts on a nuclear reactor?
To me, it's the exact same thing. Everything is attention to detail. And the difference is, in a Pro Stock car, we're trying to go as quick as we can, as fast as we can, but do it safely. On a submarine, you're trying to do everything as methodically as you can and also do it safely. Either one can cause death very quickly. So you just got to be very methodical in what you're doing and attention to detail. And I think that applies to every type of race car out there. When you put a line on, tighten the fitting. When you put a bolt in, tighten it. Don't expect that someone is going to come behind you and do it. So attention to detail is the common thread.
For these folks here who are looking, now they know Matt Hartford, but they want to see your car out on track, which they will later today. 2 sessions of qualifying today, 2 sessions of qualifying tomorrow. Sunday is the race. But where is your pit? And is it cool if they all come by and watch you guys work?
Yeah, come on by. Our pit's right down here in the end. You'll see the Total Seal trailer. It's a huge billboard about 3 trailers down. And I encourage everybody, if you want to know more about Total Seal, not only go to our website, but go to Hidden Horsepower, our podcast. Joe actually is the host of that, and typically we have our technical director Keith Jones on there as well. We got people like Jason Line and Pat Busey, Keith Dort from Circle Track, and then we do that Q&As. Write in, tell us what you want to know about. Tell us anything you want to hear about Total Seal, and that could be our next podcast.
It's amazing. He said he invited me to host the thing. Piston rings, right? Talking about that. Well, in 5 episodes, I learned more about piston rings and why they're so vital and important to everything that goes down the racetrack than I ever had before. So you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get a podcast called Hidden Horsepower, which is a great name by Total Seal. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Matt Hartford, last year's runner-up, top 5 in the world, Pro Stock racer. Any final thoughts for this group of people?
Yeah, I just got to thank everybody for coming out and supporting us. The weather's going to be beautiful today. Hopefully tomorrow we get a couple runs in as well. But my father and mother-in-law, Jim and Stephanie, are here, and Marie, my CFO, she came out from Total Seal, and of course my lovely wife Amber and my pup Tatum.
There it is, Tatum, Amber, the fam, all here. You guys got anything you want me to say about Matt in front of this large group of people? Now is the chance. You sure? You sure? All right, he's calming him down. That makes perfect sense. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Matt Hartford, Total Seal, Pro Stock Racer. Thank you very much. Qualifying not far off. Track that way, grandstands that way, pits that way. I'll hang out here for a minute or two. If you got any questions, we'll do this again tomorrow. Not this part, but the walking tour. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming to the National Hot Rod Association. Take care.